Alright. Watch, we filmed the whole thing and I forget to hit record.
That would be very on brand.
That would be so on brand for myself. Alrighty, this is exciting. My first podcast.
Yes.
So I'm Mackenzie. For any of you guys who don't know me, you'll get to know me. Basically, I always wanted a talk show, and this is probably the closest that I will get to that. So
True.
This is very exciting for me.
Yes.
I feel like I got my inspiration from watching the Tyra Banks show
Mm-hmm.
as a child. Like, I literally remember coming home from school every single day in elementary school. I think it was like around that time. It was like early 2000s, late mid 2000s that show was on, and I would watch it every day at like 3:30 p.m. and so excited to watch it.
Which is so weird because I didn't even know she had a talk show.
Yeah, it was so good. Like, look it up on YouTube sometime. There's tons of clips on there, but
Yeah.
she just covered like a lot of really interesting topics that
Mhm.
I feel like I haven't seen on like other shows.
Yeah.
And just like the way that her show was, like, just the way she did her show, I thought was done really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love Tyra Banks. And
Yeah.
also Oprah.
Oh,
Got inspiration
Oprah.
from Oprah. Yeah,
Yeah.
did her book report on her as well in elementary school. So
Amazing.
yeah. Well, today I have Stephanie with me, and Stephanie is actually one of my oldest friends. I met you my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
You want to tell them how we met?
We met because, shout out to Maddie.
Hi, Maddie.
Maddie was my roommate.
You better be listening to this.
Right, you better support Mackenzie. Yeah, I was roommates with Maddie my sophomore year, her your guys' freshman year.
Yeah, Stephanie's a year older.
Yeah, and yeah, that's how I met.
Yeah.
I met everyone. I walked into my dorm room and you were all there.
Right. I'll never forget, you had a pair of purple Converse,
Yeah.
like lavender Converse, and I was obsessed with them because I loved Converse at that time.
Yeah.
And I just knew, I was like, I'm gonna like this girl.
Yeah.
She has purple Converse.
That was our first bonding moment.
It was
my
your shoes.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. No, and I remember I was so annoyed because Maddie, our mutual friend, she, that's how I met Stephanie. I was so mad because she had this great roommate, Stephanie,
Obviously.
and at the time, I literally had the like spawn of Satan as my roommate,
Yeah.
and it was horrible.
Yeah.
So I just remember being so jealous that she had a great roommate and I did not.
Yeah.
So I was living through her, basically,
right.
when I met you.
Through her
Anyways.
great experience.
Yeah. So pretty much this podcast is just going to be like random topics. Honestly, I came up with this idea because me and you specifically, I feel like anytime we're together, we'll sit on the couch for hours and just ramble on about just the most random things.
The most like crazy things you could think of.
Yeah, like aliens, conspiracy theories,
the Mandela
space.
effect, like all of that.
Yeah. So I was like, I might as well just record this stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And put it on a podcast and put it on YouTube
And
for the whole world
force
to
people
listen
to listen to it.
Yeah, all of my like 4 listeners that I'll probably have. Whatever. I honestly don't even care. I literally just want to do this because I think it's fun.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll probably be a good laugh if nothing else. So.
Right. Sure.
So, kind of the schedule of topics for today. The first thing that we're going to cover is a really, really embarrassing story, but super funny, and I feel like it's so funny that I can't not share it.
Yeah.
And pretty much just the time that me and Stephanie went to a hockey game together, and I got escorted out of the game.
By the head of security.
By the head of security.
Not just a random security. Head of it.
So we'll be going over that, and then also we wanted to talk about something that happened in the late 50s, and we're not really sure how to pronounce it, so I'm sorry if we're mispronouncing it, but it's, I think Dyatlovs Pass is what it's called.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be diving into today.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
We're here.
We're here. Welcome to our first podcast. I don't really want to say my podcast, because technically, I mean,
it's yours.
Technically it is,
just
but
a guest.
Well, you're going to be a very, like, common guest, though.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a frequent guest, so
perfect.
Really, I should just call you my co-host.
Yeah.
I wanted to do like at the beginning of every video talk about like a news topic, but like a good happy news topic.
Okay.
Because like there's just so much like bad news out there, and I found this website, and it's it's literally called the Good News Network.
Oh.
So it's only good news stories. Wait, look it up right now so you can see what I'm seeing. Because it's really, and tell me if you see anything cool.
What is it called? Good.
It's literally called the Good News Network.
Scientists create a logarithm that uses routine eye scans to identify heart attack risk.
Wait, say that again?
What? Scientists create an algorithm that uses...
Algorithm?
How do you say it? What was I saying?
You just said you just said a logarithm?
Listen, I was sounding this shit out.
I mean, algorithm.
Algorithm.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, now that I know the word.
I like a logarithm
I feel like
better.
I've never seen it spelled out.
That was so funny. Okay, sorry, go
Anyways,
on.
I'm stupid. Now I'm afraid to say the word.
Oh, well, now you know how to say it.
Scientists create... No. Anyways, they create the system that uses routine eye scans to identify heart attack risk with accuracy of 70 to 80%. How wild is that?
That is wild. Okay, shall we just jump right into the hockey story?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, okay.
This describes our friendship in one story.
Ay. I don't even know where to begin with this story. I really don't.
It all
Oh my
started
goodness.
when we wanted to go see the Coyotes play the Stars. And
Which, let me just point out, you had really good seats for this game,
we were
too.
third row off the glass, all because I wanted to see Tyler Seguin play.
Yeah, remember when I thought his last name was pronounced Segun?
Seguin. You were like, oh my god, I love Seguin. And I was like, what?
You're like, that's not how you pronounce his last name.
Close, but no.
It was close.
Yeah. So keep in mind the amazing seats that we had.
Yeah, that's very important for this story.
Yeah.
Basically, one of our really smart ideas, we decided to go, where did we even go? We went to like...
It was called the Wild Rose.
Is that what it...
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
Wild
Which is
Rose.
kind of fitting for the story.
Whiskey Rose.
Whiskey Rose?
Yes,
Okay.
it was Whiskey Rose.
Yeah, so we decided to go grab some drinks before the game, which for normal people, would be fine.
Would be like
But-
1 or 2 drinks.
Yeah,
Casual.
maybe a beer.
Yeah.
maybe a cute little cocktail.
Yeah. No.
No.
We ordered moonshine.
Which, you know what? Why did this bar even have moonshine? I've never heard of
Because
that.
it was a country ass bar.
I don't think I've been to any other bar that had moonshine. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that was my first time
It was
trying
like
it, and my last time.
strawberry moonshine lemonade or something.
Yeah.
Weird.
And I don't even know. Was it good? Was it even good? I don't even remember.
No.
I don't even think it was.
Yeah.
Stay on this. Stop. You are not a part of this podcast today. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we get to this bar and we see that they have these like moonshine cocktails, and I think I was just like, "Ooh, that sounds interesting. Like I've never had moonshine before. Let's try it out." So you were drinking it too, right?
Yeah, we both had it.
So we both were drinking these cocktails, and I don't know how many we had. One was probably too many, to be honest.
It was one. We finished
I think it was literally just one, yeah.
And then the bartender was like, oh, do you want another one? And you were like, yeah, but make it a double. And I was like, no, do not make it a double. And he made both of ours a double. Because I remember it was like, okay, so he just didn't listen to me and gave us both a double.
Oh my goodness.
And we like chugged it because we had to go in, remember?
Oh
So
yeah,
we had
no,
to
yeah,
chug
that's where we went wrong. We didn't
Yeah.
have that much time, so we were pretty much just downing our drinks at that point.
We had like a competition, I think.
Yeah, which is very
So,
fitting for us.
Very
Yeah,
on
sounds
brand,
right.
yeah.
So we go into the game, and I think everything. Oh, let me just start with this because this is important for later. When we got there, didn't I go? You can hear the dogs.
You can hear everything.
I'll wait. Yeah, so if I remember correctly, right when we got there, didn't we go to, because I think we had a little bit of time before the game started, and to like find our seats, we went to that little kiosk where you can buy
Oh yeah, you
like
bought
jerseys.
a jersey. Mm-hmm.
And I bought a freaking custom jersey that I seriously think I've worn one time.
It was like $200.
And I spent like $200 on it. Not gonna lie, I absolutely love that jersey. A, because it just looks really cool, but also because it's Jacob Chikrin's jersey.
Right. And you wanted
Shout out
it.
Jacob Chikrin.
Shout out to Jacob.
You're adorable. I love
you.
Also, do you remember that time that I ran into you at Casa? Probably not, but
And she
I ran
doesn't
into
have
you
the selfie.
and we took a picture together, and it was super cute. Anyways,
cute.
moving
Yeah,
on.
moving on.
So yeah, so I like bought the jersey, or I paid for the jersey, so they had to make it, and so they were like, okay, you can come pick it up when it's ready. So we went to go find our seats, and I think everything was fine for like the first period, right?
Yeah.
Like everything was
And then you
normal.
went up, I think.
But we were
during
drinking
the
beers.
First intermission.
We got beers, so we were continued drinking,
Yeah.
which
Obviously.
was mistake number 2.
Yeah. I mean, like, not for me, but for you.
Why did
I
nothing
was
happen to
not
you?
messed up.
Why
I
did nothing
was-
happen to you? That's so unfair.
Yeah.
I just
Because
what the
I
heck?
drink. So.
Anyways, so yeah, so the first period was fine, and then at some point I had to get up to go to the bathroom, and
Yeah.
this is where it just all went
All went wrong.
horribly wrong,
Yeah.
like horribly wrong. So I just didn't even think about it. I just got up and went to the bathroom, but I didn't bring my phone. I
Or
didn't bring
her
my wallet or like literally anything. I didn't have
Yeah.
anything on me. Which now that I think about it, how the heck did I pick up my jersey without anything?
They just believed you because you already paid for it.
I know, but wouldn't you think that you would have to give them like
You
a
would think
license
that.
or something?
Yeah.
Like I thought that was really weird. Like thinking about it now, I'm like
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they let me pick that up. So I went to the bathroom and then I went to go see if my jersey was ready, and it was. And so I picked that up. Keep in mind at this point, I was so like I barely remember this. Like at that point, I wasn't like blacked out, but I was like.
She was out of her mind.
I was just a little too drunk. So I picked up the jersey, and then again, like I was drunk. So I just like didn't really realize where I was, and like those are like
Yeah, they all look the same.
Everything
The
looks the
section,
same.
Especially if you're drunk, like you're not gonna know.
yeah, the
This doesn't
sections.
look like the right section.
Everything looks exactly the same. So I was like looking around and like, oh shit, like I forgot which way I came out of. I don't remember where we're sitting. Like I knew we were at the, close to the glass, but I did not remember at all like which section we're in. So I go up to one of the sections, and like when you are at a hockey game, there's somebody standing there to like make sure that you have tickets to be able to go to your seats. And of course I didn't have my ticket on me because it was on my phone. And so this guy is just like, you can't go down there, you don't have a ticket. And I'm like, oh shit, like, shit, what am I gonna do?
You have no phone, nothing.
So this guy was nice. He like let me go down. He's like, okay, I'll let you go down. You can figure out where your seats are and then come back up and like show me your ticket. So he lets me go down to go find our seats, and I didn't see you. And like honestly, I probably was in the right section.
And I was right. We were on the end.
Yeah.
So like I was probably sitting right there.
Probably. No,
I
you
had
honestly.
no idea that you were
probably
behind me.
You honestly probably were, and that's like the funniest part. But I didn't see you. Like there were so many people, and I just like panicked. So I just went back up, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like I don't think she's down there. I don't know what section I'm in. And so then I think I went to another section, like the section next door, and I went to the guy at that section, and he like wasn't as nice, and so he started asking me questions because I think he could tell that I was like had been drinking and was like just confused.
Yeah.
So he started asking me questions. Like I think one of the questions he literally asked was like, "Who are the Coyotes playing?" Like,
and you were like, Tyler Seguin.
and I'm not kidding. I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure I couldn't even tell him. Like
Damn.
because I was. But I also think when you're under pressure and like. You just go blank. Like I think that happened to me. Like I was so embarrassed and I was so under pressure. I was like I froze.
Yeah, we're like we're playing a hockey game.
Yeah, like I knew we were playing the Stars, but I just like it just was gone from my mind. So I think after he asked that question and I couldn't answer it, I think that's when he was like, okay, you were like not okay. Like I need to call somebody.
Yeah.
So that's when he called our wonderful friend, what's her face, Andrea. I'm gonna
Shout
let
out to
you take it over from
at
here.
the security. So I'm sitting there, she gets up to leave, and I was like, surely she doesn't need her wallet or her phone, she knows where she's sitting.
You would think.
Because you didn't appear drunk to me.
No.
So I really thought, like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So then it gets to the second intermission. Like, I sat through the whole second period wondering, like, where did she go? Like, maybe there's a long line at, like, the Jersey place. Maybe she went to the bathroom. Maybe she's getting drinks. Like, there was just a whole list of things I thought you were doing.
Right.
And not getting kicked out was one of them. Like,
like
that crossed my mind.
That hadn't happened yet.
Right.
Don't ruin the story.
Okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, where is she? I was like, I can't even call her. Like, at intermission, I'll get up and I'll go find her. She's nowhere to be found. I don't know the password to your phone to, like, see if I could, like, call, because I didn't know what to do. I was like, what do I do? Oh, because that guy texted you. That's why I was like, I can't even.
Oh my gosh.
Because I wanted to, like, open your phone to message him and be like, where was she?
Okay, this part of the story, by the way, like,
Yeah.
you definitely have to go into detail about this because this is funny. Like,
Yeah.
this is just, oh my gosh, this story is so ridiculous.
Yeah. So I see that he texted her and he was like, hey, I just saw you get escorted out. Like, is everything okay? And I literally was like, God damn it.
I would just like to add, this is someone that at the time, this was like 3 years ago, I was like, I had been talking to this guy, okay?
Yeah.
And he happened to be at this particular game.
Yeah.
And he was sitting in a different section. I didn't even know where he was sitting. I didn't even know that he was at the game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he ended up texting me because of what happened next. I'll let you continue.
So I get up because he's like, I just saw you get escorted out. Is everything okay? And so I get up and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, what is going on? And
Ruben, stop. Go sit down. Go sit down. Go.
So I was trying to, like, retrace your steps. So I went to, like, the Jersey kiosk and I asked, like, did she pick up her jersey? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, of course. So then I'm walking around, like, hoping I'll just see you wandering around somewhere. And then I don't see you anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to talk to, like, these dogs.
Stop.
I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to, like, the police officers or security or someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking around and I see the cops and I'm like, shit, like, I gotta ask them. So I was like, hey, like, have you guys kicked anyone out today? And, like, I don't know where my friend is. I have her phone in her wallet. Like, I have no idea where she is. They were like, well, we didn't get any, like, calls. He was like, normally for, like, drunk people, they get called and, like, they escort them out. And they were like, we haven't gotten any calls yet. And I was like, they were like, what does she look like? And I was like, she's tall, blonde, like drunk probably. And they were like, yeah, no, we haven't gotten anyone. They were like, go check with the paramedics. And they, like, directed me where to go to find the paramedics.
Yeah.
They're all, like, sitting around. You're not in there. But I was like, do you guys, like, happen to, like, see, like, a tall blonde, like, kicked out, or, like, did you treat her, like, anything? And they're like, no, like, we haven't had anyone. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So I asked one of the people working at the sections who, like, you give your ticket to.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do? Like, I can't find my friend. They're like, oh, you gotta go to, like, guest services. Because if she was kicked out by security, like, that's where she'll go through.
Yeah.
So I go up to them, I find them, and I was like, have you seen, like, a tall blonde, like, get kicked out or anything? They're like, yeah, she literally just left. Like, our head of security actually escorted her out. And I was like, cool. And I was like, can we get back into the game? They're like, oh yeah, give us all your phone. They, like, did something to the ticket so I can get, like, a re-entry or something.
Uh-huh.
And I walk outside and I just see Mackenzie sitting on the curb begging, like, a security guard, like, guarding, like, the gate for, like, to use his phone. And he's literally like, no, like, I can't give you my phone. And you were like, please, like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a phone. And I was like, oh my God. And yeah. And then I find her, and I walk up to her, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And then I went inside to finish the rest of the game, and I made you wait outside.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, we're 3 rows off the glass. Like, you just wait here, don't move, and here's your phone and your wallet. Like, yeah. I'm going to go finish the game. Because they wouldn't let you back in.
No, I know. Well,
yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't have to wait out there that long for you. Like, it was almost over,
it was like 10
honestly.
minutes, yeah.
But I'm going to backtrack a little. So that guy, basically, he was like, you know, he ended up calling Andrea, who was she
was the head of security.
Yeah. she comes over to me, and this is like from what I remember. She was nice at first, and like, you know, I think she honestly felt bad because I was like very clearly upset that I like could not figure out where we were at and all that, and I was missing the game.
Yeah.
And so at first she was fine, but she was asking me questions, and I like couldn't answer her anything because I was like, I don't know where we're sitting. You know, I don't have my phone or anything on me. And so then she started getting like, I swear I think she thought that I tried to like sneak in or something, because she just like the way she was like asking me questions, she made it seem like she was very suspicious and like didn't really believe that, basically just like didn't believe my story.
Yeah.
Even though I literally had the jersey on, like because I put my jersey on when I got it, I was like, clearly I didn't just like come here and like sneak into this. I just paid like $250 for this jersey. Like, I didn't just sneak in, you know? And so that's when she was trying to help me at first. So that's when she messaged you on Facebook.
Yeah. And I still have the message.
Oh my gosh. What does it say? It literally was like, hi, this is Andrea from Head of Security. I have your friend Mackenzie or something.
She literally said, I have your friend Mackenzie.
I have your friend, as if I'm like a criminal.
She said, hello, my name is Andrea. I am the security manager at the arena. I have your friend Mackenzie, and she doesn't know where your seats are. Can you call me? And I have like 4 missed calls from her on Facebook Messenger. And then, because my thing is on private, so I didn't get the notification.
Yeah. See, she basically wanted me to prove that we were there and that we had seats. So that's why, like, she had me message you. And so when you didn't answer, she just looked at me and she was like, I'm sorry, like, you know, I don't even know what she said, but I think she basically was just saying, like, I don't believe you, pretty much. Like, she literally was saying that, like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Which just, like, I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when I started to get frustrated with her. So I probably did get a little, like, sassy, you know, and I was also, like, intoxicated somewhat. Yeah. So I'm sure I did get, like, a little, like, frustrated at her, and she did not like that. So she basically looked at me and she was like, I don't remember what she said, but she pretty much was like, okay, well, I'm gonna basically, like, I'm gonna kick you out. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, you know, make you leave. Yeah. And I literally just looked at her and I was like, I thought she was kidding. I literally thought she was kidding. I was like, are you serious? And she was like, yep. And at that point I was like, when she did that, I was like, you know what, like, at this point, I'm not gonna argue with her. There's no point. I have nothing on me to prove that I'm here, so I'm just gonna, like,
leave.
I'm just gonna bow out,
hope for
quietly, whatever. Yeah, leave and hope for the best, pretty much. So at that point, I was just like, oh my gosh, just get me out of here. Like, So she takes me outside, and so that's when I was outside for a little bit. You come out, but before you came out, I was like frantic because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm out here. I don't have a phone. Yeah. Stephanie's probably freaking out right now. And so I saw this guy that was like doing ballet or something. I asked if I could borrow his phone. And he was giving me a hard time too. He was like, no, I'm not letting you use my phone. Like, I don't know, he just wouldn't. He would not give me his phone. Yeah. So I was just like, all right. So I just sat on the curb outside, and then you came out, thankfully. And then there wasn't that much left of the game, so you were just like, okay, I'm going to go back in, and then I'll come out and whatever. But that's pretty much the end of the story. I just think the funniest part about that story, though, is just the fact that the guy that I was talking to at the time just happened to be at that game. Not only that, but out of the thousands of people at this game, like, why did he have to witness that? Yeah. Because it's not like we made a scene. Like, me and her, this, you know, Andrea, like, we didn't make a scene. We were just standing outside of one of the sections and talking, and that was that. And then she, you know, just walked me out. Right. So, like, I have no idea how he even saw that in the first place. Like, I think it was just, like, wrong place, wrong time, like, just bad timing. But that was the best part, was that he texted me saying, oh my gosh, are you okay? Just saw you getting escorted out. Like, also, so I ended up responding to his message, and I told him what happened. And this is coming from a guy who plays hockey and has probably been to thousands of games in his life. You want to know what he said to me? He said, wow, you're the only person I know that's ever been kicked out of a hockey game. Okay. I wanted to die. I was like,
oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, like,
literally
honestly,
anything but that.
Literally anything else. I was like, oh, okay.
Cool.
Great.
I'm glad it was me.
Just not surprising at all, though. Like, my life is just so ridiculous. So yeah, there's that story. Great times.
Great times.
Also, I think a couple weeks later, I ended up going back because I was going on a date with a different guy, and we were going to a hockey game. And we were waiting in line and I saw Andrea like at the end of the line, and I literally made this guy switch lines. Like I made him like go all the way over to a different line because I was so afraid this lady like was not gonna let me in. So
Yeah.
now I think everything's okay. You know, it's been a couple years, so she probably doesn't remember me anymore. Hopefully, crossing my fingers.
Yeah, like hopefully you're not on the wall of shame.
Shout out to you, Andrea, if you're listening.
For keeping the arena safe from drunk people like Mackenzie. You did a great job that night.
Whatever. Honestly, the moral of this story, if you got nothing else out of it, don't drink moonshine. Just don't.
You can drink it, just don't get a double and chug it like we did.
Or just don't drink it at all. Drink a beer. Drink some wine.
Drink a beer like a
you know what?
normal person.
No, drink water. Drink Gatorade. Don't even bother drinking alcohol.
Alcohol is very bad.
Very bad. Anyways, moving on to the next topic. Yeah, so what are we going to be talking about today, Stephanie?
The incident.
The incident of?
The mysterious incident of, how do you say it?
Alright, we're not really sure how to pronounce this because it is a Russian name. So we apologize if we're not pronouncing anything correctly, but I believe it's Dyatlovs
Pass incident. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That happened in like the 50s.
I thought it was like early 50s? Late 50s?
It says January of 1959.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
These hikers went out in Russia.
What were they doing out there again?
They were just avid hikers, and they were doing like a ski trip or something, or like just a hike, and they wanted to go.
So it literally was just like a leisurely trip.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't sure if they were doing like research out there.
Yeah, no, it was just like a trip, I believe, that they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were 9 of them. And they were all like experienced. They weren't like, none of them were like, this is your first time. I guess there's like different levels you could be of experience. And they were
for hiking?
Yeah, for hiking and stuff like this. So they were like level 2 or something. And I think if they completed this expedition, they would have been moved to like level 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They had told all their family members, so it happened in February, that they were going to be back by like February like 13th or something.
Like a certain date.
Yeah, so they went, they like set up camp, and then they all died. And then so like the 13th came, and like the family members, it didn't like really raise any red flags for them because they just thought like, oh, something, you know, like things happen, like maybe they'll come back like a few days later, you know, maybe they decided to extend it or something. It wasn't until I believe the 20th that they were like, okay, they're not back yet, we haven't heard anything. That's when they sent out like a search team. And they found it 6 days later. So they found it the 26th. So they had been laying there for like over a week, probably longer, because they were supposed to be back the 13th. And they first found the tent that they were in, and basically the like investigators had determined that whatever happened, that they were in the tent and cut themselves out. So they didn't unzip the tent to get out, they cut themselves out.
Yeah, so that part of the story confuses me.
Yeah.
Why?
Right, which is why it's very weird, because why wouldn't they just unzip it if, you know, but so something had to have happened that they needed to get out right now, and they couldn't like fumble around with the zippers and just cut themselves out.
Or maybe the zippers were like locked somehow.
Yeah, or maybe like frozen or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's Russia in the middle of winter, like it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they found the tent, thought that was weird that they cut themselves out of it. And then it wasn't until I think a few days later they found their bodies and they were like separated.
Yeah, they were all
like
in different places.
Some went one way, some went the other way.
Right, which was really
Some
weird.
were clothed, some were naked. Some were wearing like each other's clothes, which was weird.
Yeah.
And then some had like just socks on, or some just had like were fully clothed. It was weird. And then like their injuries were very bizarre. Like they didn't make any sense as to like there's no explanation really as to what could have happened. So like some of them, they said it looked like they were trying to climb up a tree because their flesh was like on the bark of the tree, and so their hands were just like bloody, like stumps.
Which just makes you wonder, like, why were they trying to climb up a tree?
Right.
Like, what would make somebody have to do that?
Right.
So obviously, like, they were trying to get away. It just seems like they were trying to get away from something, or an animal, or somebody, a group of, like...
Yeah. And then another one, their eyes were gone, and the soft tissue around the eyes were also gone, which was very, like, a specific injury.
Right.
Like, if your eye just pops out, like, that doesn't take the soft tissue away with it, you wouldn't think. It has to be, like, removed. And then, the one, her tongue was missing, and it was ripped out by the root.
Yeah.
And so one of my coworkers, she listened to, like, this other podcast about it, and they said that they found blood in her stomach, which means she was alive when her tongue was ripped out. They determined that she was alive when that happened.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know, I think it was on, I don't remember what podcast she listened to.
That was the most bizarre injury,
That one was, and then one of them, her chest was so concave.
Yeah, it was like
and
something had crushed her.
And they said it couldn't have been done by a human. They said that kind of force from a human wouldn't crush the way that she did. It was like equivalent of like a car accident. She was in a car accident.
Oh, okay.
And then one of them, like, her nose was pushed in so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is very...
What's crazy too is one of the hikers that was supposed to go with them, I think they started off hiking with the group, and then they ended up having to turn around.
Yeah,
like not too far into it.
Sick or something.
I think they had like a knee problem or something.
Like joint problem.
So it's crazy because you know they were obviously upset that they had to turn around, but like thank God that they did, because jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was crazy. I think just like the way the injuries that these people had is just so bizarre.
Yeah.
And it just makes you wonder, like, what happened? Like,
because they're saying an avalanche and hypothermia.
Yeah, so like let's talk about some of the theories around this. So I think they
officially closed the case. The Russian government officially closed the case and said it was
it said
avalanche and hypothermia.
It said the hikers died due to hypothermia because they were inexperienced, and that maybe something like an avalanche was at fault. Which how would you believe that theory that an avalanche caused, or like an avalanche or hypothermia caused these bizarre injuries?
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I think the one that sticks out the most to me is like the tongue missing.
The tongue
that is so strange and specific, because like a lot of people are like, oh well, you know, maybe like animals got to their bodies, but
base of the tongue.
But like, I don't know, it just seems strange to me that animals would target specific things like a tongue.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah.
Or only their eyes or whatever. Like, it just seems really unlikely to me that that would be the case.
Yes, it's very.
And then
bizarre.
And then just the way that how some of them were found without clothes. Like, obviously that is very odd because they're in, you know, Russia in the middle of winter, so it's very cold.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, why are these people not clothed? And there was something that I read that I thought was interesting that kind of possibly could explain that. And what was it called? It was called, it had a name. You said it earlier.
The paradoxal hypothermia.
Is it paradoxal hypothermia?
I think
That's
so.
what it's called?
Something like that.
Paradoxal undressing. That's what it's called.
Is it?
Yeah, so basically paradoxal undressing is something that happens when you have there's different levels of hypothermia. So when you go into an extreme level of hypothermia, it's something to do with your nerves, how it'll basically make you feel like you're on fire.
Yeah.
And so these people, you know, had such severe hypothermia that they were thinking that they were feeling like they were on fire, so they were just ripping their clothes off, which is just really sad. So that kind of explains that. But that was something I'd never heard of before, so that was super interesting to read about. I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were right earlier. It says many of these people were struck by a force comparable to that of a speeding car.
Yeah.
So then it makes you wonder, like, okay, well, what or who did this? Like, if they're saying that this is something that humans couldn't do, like possibly do, then you have to wonder, like, okay, well, what did happen then?
Why?
So, like, what are some of the theories on this?
So some people think that because of the time period, it was during the Cold War, that they think they were in some kind of like Russian testing zone for weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like called parachute mines or something, where they exactly what it is. They use parachute mines, and they were triggered, and that is what caused it. But you would think you would see signs of some kind of explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one other, I guess basically like they were in a testing zone, and so maybe like I've heard theories like KGB killed them, and because they were in this zone and they didn't know.
Yeah.
The other one, and he wrote a book about it, was, I don't know what it was called, but it was like the wind causing like a vortex going around the mountain, and that wind getting in like your inner ear and causing like disorientation and like basically made them go crazy.
Yeah.
That was something, obviously people think like Bigfoot or a Yeti did it.
Yeah.
Like I automatically rule that one out. I don't think.
I mean,
not that I don't necessarily believe in like a Bigfoot type of thing.
Right. I mean,
but
who knows? Right?
I don't
like,
think
it could be real, but
those are oddly sadistic ways to die. I don't think like a Yeti would do that.
As if we would know.
Right. Like maybe Yetis are crazy. Like who are we to say?
Yeah. I don't know. That one to me seems a little far-fetched. So.
Yeah. And like aliens, I don't think it was aliens.
No, that's not the first thing I think of either.
No.
I mean, the first thing that I thought of before you mentioned that, like, some of them were killed by, like, a force that a human couldn't have caused.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was, like, a group of people. Like, either people that maybe lived in the mountains or...
mountain people.
Or just they happened to stumble across a group of people that were not friendly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought until I read about or you mentioned, like, the
testing and yeah, which could be like very plausible that they were in some kind of like testing zone, but it still doesn't explain the weird injuries they had.
Well, exactly. I think that's the weirdest thing, because them being in a testing zone could make sense, because I mean they were way out there. I mean, maybe that was a testing area where, you know, the government thought that no one would ever be in, like, and they wouldn't have to worry about it. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't explain like the weird injuries at all.
No one ever really like has a good enough logical explanation for the injuries. Like hypothermia makes sense, but not the injuries. An avalanche makes sense, but they also said that it wasn't like an avalanche zone.
Like they said it was not an avalanche,
and there were no signs of an avalanche. Like no, like trees weren't knocked down. Like it wasn't. And then that guy had that last known picture from his camera, because he grabbed his camera and took a picture, and it had like those white like orbs.
Right.
Then like I also don't believe that was the last picture. Like I feel like there's more, and they're keeping it from us.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the avalanche theory, like it does. I feel like it's the first thing you would think of, right? Like you're out in the middle, you know, very like likely that there could have been a snowstorm, avalanche, whatever. Yeah. But again, you just go back to like the crazy injuries. But it says here like it makes sense. Like if you think about it, it says the sound of snow collapsing, an early warning of the what was to come, would have frightened the hikers out of their tents in a crazed state to undress and then send them sprinting for the tree line. Yeah. So that makes sense, but again, you go back to those injuries, and it does. I mean, why would an avalanche cause someone to lose their tongue? Yeah. Or their eyes? It was right. Or I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. You know. Yeah, I just don't believe the avalanche theory.
It's a very...
I want to read more about the radiation. Oh my god, it has pictures on here, and they're like so disturbing. Oh, here we go. Basic theories.
Ew, I did not scroll all the way down. That is really creepy. He's like frozen in like the position he died in. That's really sad.
There was a theory about, I guess investigators thought there was a theory about the deaths were a result of some kind of argument among the group that got out of hand.
Very out of hand.
Right, they're extremely out of hand.
What group of friends would kill each other that violently?
Right, like that just doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah. And then what's that tribe that lives there?
Yeah, so
they were like a largely peaceful tribe.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it was like the
Mansi
or Mansi tribe.
Yeah.
But then that kind of fizzled out because I guess they were known to be very peaceful. Yeah. So that theory didn't stick.
This is weird because it keeps saying that like some of their injuries couldn't be like caused by a human. So it's like,
I know. So it makes you think, okay, was this like aliens or something?
Yeah.
Which I mean, could have been.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
Oh yeah. So there's theories about how they could have been killed by some sort of secret radioactive weapon after stumbling into secret government testing. Yeah, so this is really bizarre. So those who believe this kind of talk about how the bodies looked at their funerals, because I guess the corpses had like a slightly orange like tint.
Yeah.
Which is super weird. So like, how do you explain that?
Yeah. And then I don't think radiation poisoning makes you go crazy.
I mean, I don't know much about that. I'd have to do research, but
you just like die, I think.
But it says, yeah, but this is the weird thing too with the radiation theory. It says, had radiation been the cause of death, more than modest levels would have been registered when the bodies were examined.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it says here that the orange hue isn't surprising given the conditions. They were basically partially mummified in the cold.
So does that mean that the cold, being like exposed to those cold temperatures, caused their skin to turn that orange color?
Yeah, that's pretty much what.
Like the mummification process. Is that what happens? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, maybe that is what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before, though.
Right.
So what was interesting about this is, I guess, another hiking group, like in the same area, on that same night, they reported seeing basically like orange orbs floating in the sky.
Yeah.
So that's super strange.
And distant explosions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the photo that you were talking about. Yeah, so there's this photo that I guess was like the last photo that was taken
on that guy's camera.
From the one hiker's camera. And it pretty much just shows like these white orbs. And I mean, you really can't tell anything from the picture of what that actually is.
Yeah.
It's a really eerie photo to look at. So the theory with this is that the sound of the weapon drove the hikers from their tents in a panic.
Yeah.
So half clothed. But what's weird about that to me is, why were they not fully clothed? It's the middle of the night in winter in Russia. Like, why are you half dressed?
Like, some theories are that like, so part of the group went out for whatever and they died, and then the other hikers freaked out and took their clothes, and then they died, and that's why some of them were naked, because the other hikers took their clothes. So I mean, I guess that makes sense, but then the only thing, everything makes sense if you just take away their injuries. The injuries are the only things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Which is why I have such a hard time believing it's anything like a normal. You know, it wasn't an avalanche. There's no way.
I don't think it was either. And I honestly, now I am kind of starting to maybe believe the alien theory a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how else you would explain. I don't know how else you'd explain that.
Right. Non-human injuries, like.
Right. If humans weren't capable of those injuries, like, how else do you explain that?
Yeah.
A super, super interesting and just bizarre story. And it's it's interesting too because I guess Russian officials reopened the case in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So that's ongoing, I'm assuming?
No, I think they reopened it, but they officially closed it. And basically because it said in July 2020, they closed it and said they died of hypothermia after an avalanche. Of similar force pushed them out of their tent and into the cold. The
mountainside that they were at, I guess, was named the Dyatlovs Pass in honor of the lost expedition. So
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I feel like this is one of those cases that will probably never be solved.
No.
Like they probably won't ever know what happened. Oh, that's so sad.
That's so sad. We were talking about it at work because that's where I first heard about it, and we were saying like, we'll probably never know the truth. Like,
probably not.
No.
Probably not. That's so sad too for all those families, the family members. Like they just have no idea. They don't have any closure.
Yeah.
Wow. Super interesting story though.
Mm-hmm. I want to read the book.
Yeah, there's a book and a movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see what the book says or talks about as far as like theories go.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they made a movie, like you said the other day, like if they were to make a movie about this, like how would you make the movie? Because no one knows what happened.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, did they include clips in the movie of like different theories of what they think happened, or did they just kind of choose one theory and like go with it?
Yeah.
How should we end these?
Bye.
Bye.
Right, signing off.
Stay tuned for episode 2. Since this one was so great, I know you guys can't wait to listen to the next one.
We promise this was a good trial run.
Honestly, at least we can say it probably will only go up from here.
Yeah.
Like, this is our first one we've ever done, and to be honest, I'm sure it probably wasn't that great.
Right.
Like,
because we're new, okay?
I'm gonna go back and listen to this to like do editing, and I'm just gonna be like, there's nothing I can use.
Right.
Like, none of this is
We gotta
usable.
redo the whole thing.
Yeah.
This was bad.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm sure it wasn't that bad. The second one will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie will be back.
I'll be back, don't worry.
Episode 2, I think Erica will be joining me.
Yeah.
But you will definitely be back for episode 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to do an introduction to be like, hi, welcome to Desert Gems Podcast. Or explain why I named it that.
Yeah, why did you name
it that?
That?
So I chose to name the podcast Desert Gems because I was trying to come up with something cute and clever, and I honestly could not think of anything. And then randomly I was just like, well, I want to do this podcast with my friends, and I live in the desert. So, you know, it just makes sense. Like,
and
desert
you always
gems.
say gems. Too.
And I always say gem. I'm always like, oh, you're such a gem.
Yeah.
So it just kind of made sense. And I was like, that's cute. Like, it's a little stupid, but it's kind of cute too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's catchy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where Desert Gems came from.
Yeah.
And on that note, bye.
Bye.